Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about a recent trade I did with a friend. This is actually someone who I talk about precious metals with all the time, and he had offered some slabbed peace dollars as well as a bunch of these knives, and we worked out a trade. So this is a larger trade with obviously multiple things involved. My side was my Quiet Carry Drift, which is an amazing knife, but you know, I have to use it to trade. Unfortunately for me, it's always out with the old, in with the new. Even though I love to keep every knife I've ever had, it's just not possible. In order to obtain new things, I can't just buy them, so I have to trade. And I'm okay with that. So besides the Quiet Carry, it was also a Bestech model and a ZT. So for that, I got this, as well as four different slabbed peace dollars. Offhand, they're already away. I'd show you, but I already packed them away where they go. I want to say there was a 1922 MS63, 23 MS63, maybe a 22 MS62, and I forget what the fourth one was, something like that. They're all just like, nothing particularly special, but just, nice coins for what they are. I love peace dollars, absolutely love them. And I do like slab coins quite a bit. These are all PCGS slabs. So if you're into coin stuff, that's that. But most of you are into knife stuff, so I want to share these with you. Now, I might do separate videos specifically on these two knives because they're a cool throwback, as well as maybe a separate video on these three, maybe a video on the Power Glides here. But anyway, from like here on is basically some nostalgia. And that's really why I wanted these. These weren't to like flip or really trade in the future. These are just knives that I used to own. I owned all of these knives here. In fact, I've literally owned or still own every knife that you see on the table. So it's nothing new for me. It's nothing like, it's exciting because of nostalgia. It's a throwback for me, all right? Particularly the Power Glides here, as well as these two Kershaws. But anyway, so starting on the left here, we have a Demko. This is the AD 20.5. I actually still have this knife. I just have it in a different color. This is just, I don't know, one of the green variants, I guess you'd say. Has the shark lock on here, which is absolutely awesome. I'm a huge fan of this. Actually, is one of my go-to EDCs when I'm not actually testing a knife. It is just fantastic. Wonderful knife. The blade steel on this guy is AUS 10A, which, it's not the best thing in the world. However, it is totally fine for, your needs as long as you can sharpen your knives, which is what a lot of us do. But yeah, phenomenal knife. I wish I could have a, custom Demko. Andrew Demko really does a lot of awesome stuff, and I am a fan of his designs. I wish I can get more of his work in my hands in the future. But one of my my favorites, just cool overall, very functional knife. And I like the shark lock. I think it's interesting and it's fun to play with. Definitely has the fidget factor. All right? If you like an axis lock or something, similar to that, where you can kind of flick it open and shut all the time, this is definitely one you need to look into. So besides that, we have a Kalashnikov. All right, this one happens to just be the BladeHQ Anniversary Edition. All right, so we got the blue-black, which is kind of their theme, right? It says 10th anniversary. And I forget, maybe you guys can help me what year they came out with this. I don't know when their 10th anniversary was, but just awesome. I have a little collection of these Kalashnikov knives. They're just fantastic. Awesome little autos, super comfortable. So yeah, even though they're still making these today, and there's 1,000,001 different flavors, different styles, colors, shapes, blade profiles, you name it, blade steels, I don't know if there's more variety in any knife than this one. It's like Pokemon. You gotta have them all, but you can't have them all. So you just get as many as you can. But it's funny because this style, it just seems like such a throwback. Like this seems and feels and works just like a knife from the 80s. You know what I mean? It's an old school, simple thing. The basic kind of design, the roundness, the thickness of the scales, just the build quality, everything screams retro with this, even though it's not really retro. They're making them today. It's just cool. It's just a design that, a lot of people love, and it just works well. So, next up we have the Spyderco Tenacious, which is awesome. It always has been. This has been around forever. I guess you could say this is retro as well, but, always down for another Tenacious. These are awesome to just place everywhere, as well as for gift giving, all right? So if I, see someone who needs a knife, it's not, going to break the bank to give them a Tenacious, and it's just fantastic. They just work really well. Then we have now, all right, so that's kind of not brand new, but nothing like super old or anything like that. Now we're into some of the retro stuff, right? Some of the old school knives. Now these are knives that, especially from here on, that a lot of you guys have had or go, oh yeah, I remember I had that, or hey, you know, I still have that somewhere, now I gotta go find it. That's like the cool thing to me, you know, is just seeing something and going, oh yeah, and then people understanding it, knowing it, and maybe even still owning it. So next up we have three CRKT M16s, three different variants. The M16 line has been around forever. This was the go-to Walmart knife back in the day. There was just so many versions. Now the very basic plain Jane M16, like medium sized, that would run you probably $25 when they were available at Walmart. Eventually the prices went up over the years, but you know, it was a cheaper steel, but it was a cool knife and they just worked well. There's so many soldiers that were deployed and their choice of knife, they could have anything in the world, they had M16s. If you just do a search for M16 and look at reviews from years and years and years ago, you're gonna see so many dudes that were like overseas, you know, serving in different branches of the military, and this was their go-to folder. You know, a lot of times they'll have fixed blades as well, but this was it. It just worked fine. It wasn't something with, you know, LMAX steel on it or Magna Cut or, you know, a $500 knife. No, the soldiers who you think have the best, they had Walmart knives. You know why? Because they work. They work fine as long as you keep sharpening them. Not to say, you know, that we can't appreciate high-end cutlery. Obviously we can, but, you know, just put it in perspective. They use these things. They use them more than a lot of people use their knives, and they worked fine. So anyway, so pop this open. You can see it does have a flipper on here. If you've never seen an M16, you're maybe new to the knife scene. You can see the flipper on here is actually very good. It's very well jimped. All right, very textured, little round guy there. So flips open fine. This is actually a blade stop, so this keeps the blade from traveling further once it's locked up. However, they do work like thumb studs. They're very much knurled or textured here, so you can flick it open with that as well. It's ambidextrous, although it's not really what it's meant for. Then we have a liner lock, but on top of that, these M16s had what was called the LAWKS system, L-A-W-K-S, LAWKS. All right, so this little nub on the back, and a lot of you guys are familiar with this. I'm just going over this for maybe, again, people who are new to knives or didn't know about this one. So you push this forward to lock your liner lock. So we have the liner lock, right? And some people don't like liner locks because they feel like they're a weak lock system. If you put enough pressure on the back, which again, you're not gonna, like if you're doing spine whack tests on, you know, some 2x4s or something, maybe you'll get this to fail. But the whole idea is once you push this forward, right? Look at that little bar that's right there. All right, let me use the Tenacious as a pointer. All right, so you know what I'm talking about here. So look, let me let the camera focus. Look right there. That little bar is the lock system. So as I rotate this up, that just pivots down. And it goes in between this scale and the liner. So if you go to unlock this knife, it hits that bar, right? It creates a little bit of a wiggle room for that blade, but it does not allow the blade to shut. So this is a way for you to lock your lock, okay? When you're done, you manually push it down, and that's it. Now, you don't ever have to even use it. You know what I'm saying? You have a liner lock. It's open, locked, ready for use. There's no blade play at all. It's just if you're cutting hard or if you just get into a habit of doing it. Whenever I carry these, I would just automatically put that on. You know, but then you go to close it, sometimes you forget. You're like, why is it? Oh, that's right. Okay, I gotta close that first, then close my knife, right? So there you go. So this one, again, is the M16 14Z, specifically this larger Tanto combo edge, right? So next up, probably one of my favorites, my favorite in the group of three here. This one here is the M16 13M. Now this one, not only do I love the blade profile, I'm not a huge fan of combo edges, and so many of these M16s do have combo edges, but you know, it is what it is. I still love this one. But it's a great size. It's not, you know, we literally have large, medium, and small here in this particular collection. But what's also cool about this particular model is this had an auto locks system. So you see there's a little red in there. That's just showing, it's indicating that it's the red, you know, that it is the lock, kind of like you'd have on a firearm. But this one is on a spring. What that means is that when you open your knife, it automatically engages the lock system. All right, as opposed to manually putting it on. Now, some people did not like the auto locks because they don't like the little extra lock there, and they forget, and then they can't close their knife, and they go, oh yeah. Plus, you have to manipulate it a certain way, which I'll show you in a second. So a lot of these were manual, where you physically have to move it yourself, but the auto locks did it for you. So that little spring made it so that when you open your knife, it automatically engaged, all right, which we can see down in there. So I cannot lock this. Now, what some people didn't like is that to unlock it, you could do this one-handed, but I don't know, I guess it was a little weird at first for people. You have to pull down on this, right, because it's under spring tension, you can't let go. So you have to pull down on it. While you're holding it down, unlock the liner lock, then let go of that, then you can move the blade down. All right, so honestly, once you got used to it, you do your cut, it's not a big deal. Unlock, unlock, close, right? But that was frustrating to people. They just didn't get it, and they're like, oh, I have to pull this, and how do I, okay, wait, let me do this, and then push this over, and then close it, and you know, they had two hands, and they just didn't get used to it. But it's not that hard. It's just, it's like anything else. Even if you have like a firearm, you just have to train with it, right? You have to get used to using your particular tool, so that when you do have to use it, especially under stress, or, you know, just naturally without even thinking about it. And once you start carrying this knife, you would quickly learn that, right? Because if you go to cut something, you go to unlock, it doesn't work. You just know to unlock your lock system, then push your liner over, then you can close your blade. Then there was the little guy, and everyone likes the little guy too. Super lightweight. This one happens to be the 10KE, right, version of the M16. Smaller, again, Tanto combo edge, which I would much prefer a plain edge spear point or plain edge drop point. But, you know, it is what it is. No problem. It's still a fantastic little blade. So, and this one has the manual lock system. So you can see this is not automatically engage. It's completely manual. So yeah, pretty cool little setup though. Large, medium, small. All right, so now we're into the Kershaw Whirlwind. This is a blast from my past. This was when Speed Safe was like brand new, and everyone was loving the Kershaw Leeks and the Scallions and the Chives, and well, the Scallions came later, I think. It was the Leek and the Chive, which was a large and the small from Ken Onion, which, by the way, Ken Onion, Leek, Chive, Scallion, you know what I'm saying? Those are what? Types of onions. So that was like super creative. The shallot came out at some point, which I think was manual. I had a couple of those. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious, by the way, that, you know, Ken Onion and all of his knife models at the time were different types of onions. So anyway, so this was the Kershaw Whirlwind, all right? Speed assist, which was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's like an automatic knife. It's like a switchblade. That's what everyone thought and said, and that's how they acted. Very simple knife though, very comfortable, all right? It is tipped down. I need to talk about pocket clip orientation. Tip down, tip down, tip down. Right? Tip down. We have Phillips head screws for our hardware. This is how we grew up, folks. All right, Phillips head screw for our thumb stud. This is what it was. All right, no one complained. It was normal. So yeah, Kershaw Whirlwind still works totally fine. Nice plain edge blade. We have the 3 progressively smaller holes. Just cool, comfortable, simple, sleek design. Right, fairly lightweight for what it is. Liner lock. Still locks up good. Just a total blast of the past. And then soon after this came out, we had the black version. Now, they didn't call it the black Whirlwind. They literally changed the name to the Blackout, even though it's the identical knife with a black blade. But it does have a little bit of a design change. So essentially the same thing. We don't have the holes here, though, okay, in comparison. So Whirlwind on top. We have a slight profile change on our blade as well. This one happens to be combo edge. Whirlwind, Blackout. All right, so the model number is the 1560, made in USA, if you want to look that up. And then the 1550, this one happens to be the ST version for the combo edge there. So super cool, blast in the past. Just, again, awesome knives that work very, very well. All right, and then last up here is a Ken Onion Scallion. The Scallion was the middle size. So we had the Kershaw Leek, super known, very pointy, little slick little knife. All metal design, right? Then we had the Chive, which is the little guy, and then at some point they made the medium version, which is this, the Scallion. All right, now this is also speed assist, and I love the lock on here. I've always liked them on all these speed assist knives. Look at how simple that is. The lock is literally a little piece of plastic that just covers the blade. So right there, it's unlocked, so you can see there's nothing obstructing the blade from coming out. Then you just slide that over, and now it's locked. So you get into that habit, and again, guess what? Tip down. So you pull your knife out of your pocket, right? You just unlock it, flip it around, and then you can use the thumb studs here, or again, these are blade stops, but you can use my thumb studs, or the flipper, whichever one did, because the flipper was also kind of a newer thing too. So, and this is a fantastic flipper design, where this is low like this, and it dips in, so your finger naturally just goes right there and wants to push that out. It is perfect. So you see how those thumb studs rest against the frames, a little cut out for that. That's why they're blade stops. No blade play, awesome little design, right? Little recurved blade. Right, this one is the 1620, in this particular case, GRN, which is the green aluminum scales. Right, pocket clip works great, nice smooth aluminum scale, right? Just awesome. And this, I believe, is dated. So yeah, February 2007. How about that? 2007. That seems like such a long time ago. So yeah, Kershaw Scallion. So there you go. That's my my trade. Like I said, I may do, well, I don't know. I kind of talked about, I was going to do a whole video just talking about these power glides. I like making separate videos a lot of time because it gives you like an easier search. Let's say you got a power glide at a flea market. You're like, what's this knife? And you go on YouTube, you know, Smith & Wesson Power Glide. I wanted the title to say Smith & Wesson Power Glide so that it's easy to find and you can learn about it, right? Makes sense. So I may or may not make a separate video on that. Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.